The different classes in BattleBit Remastered offer a great variety in playstyle of the game, but personally my favorite is the Engineer. And I'm here to give you some tips today on how to play the Engineer just a little bit better. Now for the Engineer, I think you could break it down into 3 different playstyles, and each of those kind of use a bit of a different loadout. First I'm going to break down something I like to call the Bruiser. The point of the Bruiser is to deliver as much explosives to the enemy as close as possible and as quickly as possible. Now, let's talk about loadout real quick for this idea here. I suggest one of the personal defense weapons or submachine guns. My personal favorite is the UMP-45 since it's unlocked at rank 0, so you can use it right off the bat. Another couple options for this class, the primary gadget, you could go a couple ways here. I like taking the C4 in so you can help blow holes in walls and whatnot to help really get to where the enemy is hiding. Another decent option, since it'll be up close and personal, is the anti-vehicle mine. You can toss this bad boy out, and I've found that a lot of people driving vehicles like to rush right into the center of the action, and they're not looking out for these. I've gotten a good couple kills this way. For secondary gadget, I suggest you take the heat explosive. The fragmentation would make sense for close range, but they've nerfed it to the point where it's just real hard to use. I've found that it's real hard to get any kills with it unless you're like dead on. This heat explosive is also fantastic against walls and buildings. This will be real good when you're getting up close and personal and you find out where the enemy hideout is, and then you can simply remove the hideout. If there's no wall for them to hide behind, they're much easier to shoot. So for this playstyle, even if you have the scoped one unlocked, I suggest you stick with just the unscoped RPG. It'll be a little bit easier in these shorter range fights you're getting into, and there's less complication to deal with. You aim in one spot, you shoot in one spot. Finishing off loadout, I want to talk about throwables here. So my favorite throwable to take for all classes of the Engineer is the anti-vehicle grenade. Why, you may ask? The anti-vehicle grenade can take down walls. Again, we're talking about delivering explosives here, quickly and aggressively. The best part of the anti-vehicle grenade is you can throw it a reasonable distance from behind cover. So this will really help you take out enemies when you don't want to peek out because you know there's a sniper watching or something. So now we've kind of broken down the weapons loadout, let's talk about the character loadout. Pick whatever lets you hold the most explosives possible. The heavy backpack, pick the heavy armor, whatever gives you the most ammo and the most explosives. Sure, you're going to be slow moving, but this is about delivering explosives, so more is better. So I want to talk about playstyle for the Bruiser. You're going to want to get up close and personal with the enemy here. This is the most effective way you can take advantage of your explosives you've got in your kit right now. So this is why I suggest the close range weapon, because you're really not going to be over more than 50 to 100 meters in any fight, so you really don't need something with range to it. And what you're going to want to do is to start using your explosives as quickly as possible. Since you're in more close range fights, you're going to get knocked down more often, die more often, but there's a plus side to that. You respawn with new explosives, which means more explosives to use on the enemy. So just start chucking grenades at enemy positions. If they're hiding in a building, make the building go away. Throw a grenade in the window. Shoot an RPG at the wall. Open it up. If you start opening up walls in these buildings, your allies can much better kind of knock down the enemies inside. And a quick tip for using the RPG. This applies really any way you play the Engineer. The RPG takes forever to aim down sights. So I suggest that you aim down sights before you even look out around a doorway or through a window. Kind of just pre-aim a little bit, because you'll be ready to shoot right away. And you could just pop back in cover, load a new rocket, do the exact same thing again. And a bonus too, since you're carrying so many explosives from that heavy backpack, if a vehicle rolls up, oh man, do you have RPGs to deal with it. You'll be holding enough RPGs in your kit just to take out a tank on your own. And these anti-vehicle grenades, fantastic. You can actually throw them out windows, over walls, right at the enemy vehicles. This is a fantastic class for just getting rid of anything around you. Just simply blow it up. The enemy will fear you, enemy vehicles will stay away from you. Your allies might start to fear you a little bit because you're throwing grenades literally everywhere. Hey, even the buildings might start to fear you. One time a shack just got up and walked away from me. Real weird. Anyways, moving on to the next class. So the next playstyle I want to talk about is something I call the pseudo sniper. So for this one, you're going to utilize a bit longer range gun, you're going to stay a little further back from fights, and you're going to try to drop RPGs in on people. For this one, I suggest using one of the rifles. I personally like the AK-15 because it does a bit higher damage, and with this higher damage, you can kind of act like, well, a pseudo sniper, hence the name. You can take a little bit longer shots. If you get enough kills with this, you can start unlocking longer range scopes and whatnot, and you kind of use it like a DMR. Which brings me to the point of why I don't specifically use a DMR. I use a rifle for the larger mag size. The DMR is good, but if you happen to get in a close range fight, you're kind of screwed. For the primary gadget, I suggest you take one of the mines or traps. Anti-personnel mine, anti-vehicle mine, claymore, one of those three. I suggest this so you can kind of set up a perimeter around you, kind of protect yourself a little bit when you're kind of setting up and dropping RPGs in on people. Now for the RPG selection. For this one, if you have it unlocked, I highly suggest you take the scoped RPG. Unlike the Bruiser, since you can be working at much further ranges, kind of guessing with the unscoped ones can be real difficult. The scope's a little tough to get used to, so I suggest you take it into the shooting range and kind of practice it a little bit, but once you figure it out, it's fantastic to use. A note here, if you have the tandem RPG unlocked, it's fantastic for taking out vehicles, but it's actually at a much shorter range. If you take notice, it's only got a max range of 200 meters. Depending on how far you're shooting, this might go over your range, so I suggest you stick with just the standard heat RPG. As far as the throwables here, you've got kind of two options. I like sticking with the anti-vehicle grenades still, just because you can kind of just throw them out real quick if people are running up on you and deal some good damage. But you could also take the smoke grenade. If you shoot a couple rockets and then toss a smoke grenade, it'll kind of obscure your position and you can move to a new area to shoot a couple more rockets. It'll hopefully keep snipers off your trail. For this playstyle, I suggest you stick with the same idea as the Bruiser. Pick whatever gives you the most gadgets and mags as possible. Especially for this one, since you won't be around your team as much and you'll be hanging a little further back, it's going to be real hard to resupply. Now, let's talk about playstyle for this kind of pseudo-sniper. I suggest you sit maybe 100, 200 meters back from the fight, so that way you can kind of start dropping RPGs in on things you're seeing. Now this is why I suggest having a longer range rifle with a scope on it. You can use that rifle to kind of spot where you want to drop RPGs. If you use that scoped rifle to see kind of which floor of the building they're hanging out on, you can much better aim your RPG in and just blow up the wall. And then, once you go back to your scoped rifle, you can start just picking them off. Now with this playstyle, I suggest rotating spots occasionally. Since you're going to be shooting a lot of RPGs, it's kind of going to give away your position to snipers on the map, and this is why I suggest taking the smoke grenade as an option too. Maybe shoot a couple rounds, throw a smoke grenade, move around, they won't see where you went, and you can start shooting RPGs again. This can be a great playstyle to get a few more kills for yourself. Once you're opening up walls and you have that scoped rifle to take advantage of those holes yourself, you can really start racking up the kills. Now the last playstyle I want to talk about for the Engineer actually has nothing to do with the Engineer itself. It has to do with driving vehicles. So if you're going to drive or pilot a vehicle, I highly suggest you go as the Engineer, because the Engineer has the repair tool. So this is going to be fantastic for, say you're driving a tank around and you're fighting and you take an RPG hit, you're like, okay, I gotta back off. Instead of having to try to find an engineer somewhere that actually took the repair tool or drive all the way back to base, pull behind cover real quick, hop out, fix your own tank, hop back in, get back in the fight. As far as loadout for this playstyle, I'm not going to get too specific. Just kind of take some sort of close range gun you like, because more often than not, if you're hopping out, there's probably enemies around you because you're taking damage. And also, make sure you drive your vehicle far enough back that you're well behind cover. You don't want to be still taking shots while you're trying to fix your vehicle. Alright, hopefully you learned some good tips today about how to play the Engineer, and give you a little bit of variety in playstyle even within just this one class. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love if you'll leave a like down below, and maybe share this with a friend who's looking to learn the game a little better. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next time.